All right. So we're talking about today being able to study yourself at rest. So we've been pretty biased, typically in PE, to looking at exercise and modalities, but we're still getting an honest group of 20 to 25% who's like, I'm not trying it, I'm not doing it. So instead of judging those kids and being like, you're bad, let's kind of use this attention piece that we're trying to build, the skill, and let's use it at rest. Right? So what information can you pick up about your body when you're doing nothing? If you find this prevalence for doing nothing. Ideally, we want to be able to pick up internal signals at rest and moving, right? We've been looking mostly at moving. Let's see what we can pick up during rest. Sharing screen. All right. So I said, hey, lay on the floor, not your bed or a couch, simply because it's too fluffy for you to really get pinpointed information. That's why I asked you to lay on the ground. So you're a little bit more sensitive as to what's hitting the ground and not. The first thing, and I'll scroll through it just a bit, is I said, hey, what were you thinking about? Where does your mind go while you were laying? And kind of notice the timestamp of when this is. I'll just scroll through slowly. So far we got 2 in the moment, the ceiling and how the carpet feels, your breathing, but everything else, I would, and as we scroll through this, I won't scroll through the whole thing, but approximately 95% of people are living in future land. In future land, it's probably, if I were to break that 95% down, I would say about 80% is in future land, 15% is in past land, and 5% are able to like literally exist within the 3 minutes. Some of you are able to focus on my hip hurts or my back hurts. A lot of music stuff coming on. So if you kind of consider your generation and my observations of your generation, right? You grew up with these headphones that like bubble you off from the rest of the world. The music is kind of your shield. So whenever you want to kind of bubble into yourself, you tend to use music as something that helps you kind of create this private space. Okay. So it's almost like the music kind of puts you in this trance of sorts where I'm supposed to stay internal. Question kind of comes though is can you do that without music? Are you able to take this brain that needs stimulation, right? We've trained it to watch Netflix. We've trained it to listen to music. We've trained it to be out here. It likes stimulation. Instead of being out here, could it exist inside? Could it start to look at where the pressure is, what my posture is, what my breathing is, and what all these words mean? Can I start again to extract data from this body that I am living within? Okay. Ask where the weight sits. Okay. Most of you on your back. Now, remember, I didn't say how to lay on the ground. Let me check this chat real quick. Yeah. Yep. Private comment saying, I was just thinking about what I needed to do later. Again, we're always over here, and we're very rarely in the moment. And if I try to like open up what in the moment means, it means you literally allow yourself to feel. Because feeling is here right now. And as young people and as someone with experience, right, we don't really like to feel. Feeling tends to shift, gets a little scary or a little bad, right? It's not as like jumpy as music and Netflix and controllable, right? Once we start to feel, it could be tough to turn it on and off. You know, click the next button. But that's at the heart of what this is. Can I feel what's going on at this moment? Right? And in trying to guide you through this, or at least ask you questions about what you remembered, Most of you had your weight on your back. Some had their weight at their heads, chest, and arms. So what that tells me, and their belly, is that quite a few of you chose to lay on your front, not on your back. So if you consider that position, which do you think is more open? Which do you think is more safe? Right? Ideally, if I am able to create that mental bubble, I can lay on the ground, eyes closed, and it could be World War III chaos, and I'm untouchable. And I don't need a symphony playing. I can kind of create that with my mind, that sense of safety. But if I'm covering or tightening anything, I'm still a bit on alert. And it allows me to it doesn't allow me to relax and really sink into feeling, because I'm always got that antenna of what's going on around me. Okay. I asked, how often did you change position? Once or twice was the big bulk. 25% said never. And I'm curious, for these never, did you think that you needed to stay frozen? Like whatever position you chose, you needed to kind of like standing, suffer through it and stick to it? Did you allow yourself to adjust? Your body wants to adjust. Did you naturally let it happen, or did you stop it? I control you. Okay. Eyes opened or closed. Another kind of sign of safety. Let me check this chat. Yeah, at the flip side, thank you for that. I have a private comment saying sometimes when you're relaxed, you never move. Absolutely. I hope that 25% of kids could get on the ground, super relax, and go dead. But my hunch is that isn't the reality. Just from my experience of working with, it tends to be a false. But yes, ideally having you melt into and become the floor is the goal. I just don't think enough of you have that skill yet. We tend to kind of pretend a lot. So again, this idea of feeling, can we not pretend, and can we actually let go? This is kind of where our eyes come in. If I can close my eyes without forcing them shut, but just kindly, I feel okay, because I don't need to be on alert with my eyes. Right? I can shut that input off, and I could, again, maintain that level of safety. Then the sun switched from open to close and close to open. So we started relaxed, but then the time, right, made us a little anxious. So we opened our eyes up, or we started really defensive, and then we let ourselves close our eyes, right? Switching between the two. Again, all these are signals. I asked you about your breathing. Everybody talks about breathing, but nobody gets into the details of what that means. So I'm saying, hey, how deep or how low did those breaths go? Okay. Most of you aren't sure. 37% aren't sure, right? So when I say focus on your breathing, you're like, what? It's kind of like the coaching thing saying, try harder. What harder? So when I'm saying, hey, where did they go? Just over a third, we're like, I have no idea. 13.1% stayed in my neck and chest. So shallow, kind of faster. This is kind of protective. Through my ribs, got a little bit lower, 20%. Through my upper belly area, right? So right underneath the ribs, I would kind of use these three colors, the orange, blue, and red, kind of as upper breathers. Now 14.3% were able to get full Buddha belly, which means the air could come in and get to the belly and not necessarily have to expand the ribs at the same time. Draws it in deep, releases it. Nobody, which makes sense, got all the way to the groin, which means you got so low, you almost got it into ultra belly. But again, it's a skill that takes time and practice, right? So the deeper the belly breaths, typically the safer and calmer you feel. Then I asked you to look at the inhale versus the exhale. Again, 23.8%, not sure which was longer, right? So even though they're paying attention to breathing, it's not that ratio. And we're spot on. The rest of the half is inhale was longer, and the other half, exhale, was longer. Think about how you breathe when you've just ran or been chased or chased something. Tends to be, right? Real high, mouth open. Inhale, heavy. The calming factor of breathing is the exhale. It is literally letting go and not holding on. So if there's like a panic attack, either you or someone you know where they are having trouble breathing, you'll see people say, just breathe. But a better cue would be like, just exhale. Just focus on getting that air out, because the air in will be automatic. We typically flip that though. Finally, through the breathing, I asked about the nose and the mouth. Again, if I am struggling for air, just ran, opening my mouth, getting that air in quickly, a lot, but it doesn't go very deep. Ideally, if I want to try to use the calmness of my nervous system, I want in and out through my nose. And I want to draw it in and push it out from that deep belly. Okay, 47% of you could do it just nose. Then we have some mouth shares. Okay, more through the nose, more calming. Curious question is, hey, was this hard just to lay on the ground? 40%. Kind of the busybodies of multitaskers. Should be doing more, should be doing something else. Over here is more important than right now. Imagine how much of right now you give away to tomorrow. Possibility. Attention points. What body part, if any? Kind of where that weight was. All over the place. These brains here, these are the overthinkers. They just kind of, they divorce from their body and they just exist in this brain. And this brain will just keep spiraling. Brain people probably have trouble sleeping. Again, they don't really know how to shut things down, calm and relax. They tend to stay and like to stay revved up. Was anything unpleasant or uncomfortable? Almost 40% said, yeah, it was. And how did you react and deal with it? Right, this big line here is, it wasn't uncomfortable. But most of this, other than being like, you've only got a little time left, right? That mental of just stick with it. The most obvious answer and the most natural answer was I moved. I let myself shift. Your body will do this automatically if you let it, right? But if you feel you need to control it, you make it harder than it needs to be. When you're feeling uncomfortable, just shift. Think about that mentally. When you're feeling uncomfortable, do you hunker in? Or do you allow yourself to move out of that place? Even though out of that place might seem different, unfamiliar, and or scary. Okay, movement is a big key, both mentally and physically. Lastly, honesty check. I looked at the questions before laying. Honest third of you were like, yeah, I want to know what I was getting into. And 2/3 were like, nope, I did it, and I try to answer these questions.